It all starts with a simple goal, a will to change, a desire to transform your business model and bring strategies to life, to lead with digital. Transform from the front line of your business to the bottom line of your budget. Discover how our experts will help you transform, compete, disrupt, revolutionize, succeed.
There are moments in life we don't want to miss. That's why Hitachi analyzes data to help cities run more smoothly. Elevators arrive just in time. Trains avoid delays. And taxis appear on demand. With Hitachi's IoT platform, we can predict what comes next, so that everyone can move toward what matters. The future is open to suggestions. This is social innovation. Hitachi. Inspire the next.
At NTT Data, we're IT rock stars, and we're super proud of it. Because mission-critical applications don't build themselves. Business insights and process improvements don't grow on trees. Mind-blowing customer experiences don't just happen. We secure and manage IT systems, consult locally and globally, and help you harness the cloud. We wake up every day ready to help clients solve what's next and save them hundreds of millions. It's simply what we do, and we do it really, really well. At NTT Data, we live for this stuff.
Where's Jack?
He's on holiday. What do you need?
I need the temperature for pipe 5.
Ask the new guy.
The new guy?
Jack trained him.
Jack's guidance would be to maintain the temperature at negative 160 degrees Celsius.
That doesn't sound like Jack.
Actually, Jack would say, hey mate, just cool it to minus 160 and we're set. Good on you.
Oh yeah, that's Jack.
What if your boldest ambitions were backed by high-impact solutions? It all starts with a simple goal, a will to change, a desire to transform your business model and bring strategies to life, to lead with digital. Transform from the front line of your business to the bottom line of your budget. Discover how our experts will help you transform, compete, disrupt, revolutionize, succeed.
Human beings have something remarkable that no one else in the universe has. We know instinctively when something is right and when it's wrong. We understand the world around us. We understand where we're going and how to get there. Can the network do the same thing we do? The answer is yes, but only if it's built on a very powerful and very human idea. Only if it's designed to be intuitive, constantly learning, constantly adapting, constantly protecting. This is an entirely new era of networking. An entirely new vision of what the network is. And only one company on Earth can deliver it. Cisco, the network. Intuitive.
Another day of work. Another round of all of this. Why do you do it? Why do you put up with it? It's not just a paycheck. You actually like what you do, even love it. And today, you can do things you never could before. You're developing AI applications on the cloud, finding insights hidden in decades of medical documents, turning social data into new designs, managing millions of IoT sensors, and monitoring billions of security events every day. So grab some leftovers and get back to it, all you engineers, retailers, doctors, bankers, or whatever it is you do, and do the best work of your life.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to MTECH 2017. We would like to invite everyone seated at the back to occupy the available front seats. Again, we would like to invite everyone seated at the back to please occupy the available front seats. Hopefully, this will help enjoy the MTECH experience better. Thank you.
You're developing AI applications on the cloud, finding insights hidden in decades of medical documents, turning social data into new designs, managing millions of IoT sensors, and monitoring billions of security events every day. So grab some leftovers and get back to it, all you engineers, retailers, doctors, bankers, or whatever it is you do, and do the best work of your life.
Where's Jack?
He's on holiday. What do you need?
I need the temperature for pipe 5.
Ask the new guy.
The new guy?
Jack trained him.
Jack's guidance would be to maintain the temperature at negative 160 degrees Celsius.
That doesn't sound like Jack.
Actually, Jack would say, "Hey mate, just cool it to minus 160 and we're set. Good on you."
Oh yeah, that's Jack.
This is not a cloud. This is a car protected from storms by an insurance company that knows the weather down to the square block. This is a diamond trapped on a blockchain protected against fraud, theft, and trafficking. This is a financial transaction secure from hacks and threats others can't see. This is a patient's medical history made secure while still available to their doctor at their fingertips. This is an asteroid live streamed to millions of viewers from 220 miles above Earth. This is AI trained by experts in 20 industries, your industry.
Hello.
This is not the cloud you know. This is the IBM cloud. Designed for your data. AI ready. Secure to the core. The IBM cloud is the cloud for business. Yours. Another day of work. Another round of all of this. Why do you do it? Why do you put up with it? It's not just a paycheck. You actually like what you do, even love it. And today, you can do things you never could before. You're developing AI applications on the cloud, finding insights hidden in decades of medical documents, turning social data into new designs, managing millions of IoT sensors, and monitoring billions of security events every day. So grab some leftovers and get back to it, all you engineers, retailers, doctors, bankers, or whatever it is you do, and do the best work of your life.
What if your boldest ambitions were backed by high-impact solutions? It all starts with a simple goal, a will to change, a desire to transform your business model, and bring strategies to life.
Good afternoon, everyone. We would like to share with you our photos from our 3-day exhibit, which we had at the Meralco Lopez building lobby. We had 18 exhibitors who showcased their amazing technology and interactive gadgets. It was a great opportunity for our employees, partners, customers who wanted to experience the technologies firsthand. Attendees were able to explore our substations using virtual reality. They were also able to test Meralco's impressive innovations that was designed and created for its employees. Innovations like workplace chatbots, Hazard Hunter, HR applications such as Learning Management System, HR Metro, and AppRace, our performance management system. Lastly, they were able to preview our soon-to-be-launched customer portal. This portal will make it easier for our customers to apply for a new service, view their bills and account information, and also raise a concern. It was a very productive 3 days, and we would like to thank our management team for their unwavering support. We would also like to thank our exhibit sponsors and partners for their cooperation and support. We have provided our VIP guests with an event primer which shows the evolution of MTECH. We will share a soft copy with the rest of the attendees today. We still have more insightful presentations for you this afternoon, and we will begin our afternoon sessions in a short while. Thank you and enjoy.
Where's Jack?
He's on holiday. What do you need?
I need the temperature for part 5.
Ask the new guy.
The new guy?
Jack trained him.
Jack's guidance would be to maintain the temperature at negative 160 degrees Celsius.
That doesn't sound like Jack.
Actually, Jack would say, hey mate, just cool it to minus 160 and we're set. Good on ya.
Oh yeah, that's Jack.
This is not a cloud. This is a car protected from storms by an insurance company that knows the weather down to the square block. This is a diamond tracked on a blockchain protected against fraud, theft, and trafficking. This is a financial transaction secure from hacks and threats others can't see. This is a patient's medical history made secure while still available to their doctor at their fingertips. This is an asteroid live streamed to millions of viewers from 220 miles above Earth. This is AI trained by experts in 20 industries. Your industry.
Hello.
This is not the cloud you know. This is the IBM cloud. Designed for your data. AI ready. Secure to the core. The IBM cloud is the cloud for business. Yours. Another day of work. Another round of all of this. Why do you do it? Why do you put up with it? It's not just a paycheck. You actually like what you do, even love it. And today, you can do things you never could before. You're developing AI applications on the cloud. Finding insights hidden in decades of medical documents. Turning social data into new designs, managing millions of IoT sensors, and monitoring billions of security events every day. So grab some leftovers and get back to it, all you engineers, retailers, doctors, bankers, or whatever it is you do. And do the best work of your life.
What if your boldest ambitions were backed by high-impact solutions? It all starts with a simple goal, a will to change, a desire to transform your business model, and bring strategies to life, to lead with digital. Transform from the front line of your business to the bottom line of your budget. Discover how our experts will help you transform, compete, disrupt, revolutionize, succeed.
Human beings have something remarkable that no one else in the universe has. We know instinctively when something is right and when it's wrong. We understand the world around us. We understand where we're going.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to MTECH 2017. We hope everyone enjoyed their lunch as we are about to continue our journey to tomorrow. Our next presentation is entitled Trends and Future Directions in Cognitive IoT. Our presenter is the Director, Chief Technology Officer, and Head of Development Watson IoT Consumer Business of IBM. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Gabi Zodik.
Okay, good afternoon. I hope you had a good lunch, and I hope to continue and be interesting and keep you awake. I guess my presentation will come up. I'll reflect on quite a few things that Gavin mentioned, and I guess I'm here with two heads or two things I do on my daily work. One is being the CTO for consumer business, but at the same time, I'm also heading a department in research focused on IoT, mobile, cloud technologies. So this perspective about where the industry goes and where IBM research is looking at comes more, I guess, from that. Let's see if it's working. Okay. So we've already mentioned that IoT, mobile, and all of these technologies disrupt all the industries. And I'm not going to talk too much about it, but really mention that each and every industry needs to rethink their business processes. As I said earlier in the panel, if you don't take advantage of the technologies and the fact that they are with us, with the people, and people are in the center of interacting with these systems, then you're not really revolutionizing the way that you can the industry, rethinking each and every business process. And that's really what it is about. When I prepared the talk, I kind of listed various topics I could talk about. And just this morning, I kind of realized there was one more topic I didn't include here, which is drones. And I think Gavin mentioned that as well. That's just the beginning, and one of the areas we are looking at in drones is really to build a marketplace, because we don't believe that each and everyone can have the expertise to fly the drones manually, do the analytics that's required afterwards, understand the results, and so on and so forth, or put together a plan to do that. And that's why we're building this platform and marketplace in which there will be suppliers who provide capabilities such as the drones, flying plans, analytics, for image and video analytics and others, and consumers, companies like Meralco and others who would want to go and do a tower inspection and just provide the requirements, and the service will be made readily available for them. So I just mentioned that, and again, there is a long list here of topics that I think are all of a lot of interest. I hope I'll be able to catch all of them, and again, it's just a glimpse into the things that we are looking and we think that are important. I'll start with the first topic, which is around employee safety. There are many, many unfortunate casualties of employees who work outside in the field. Again, these numbers are just from the US. Worldwide, of course, the number is much, much higher. It also costs a lot of money. Again, I usually care less about the money. I care more about the people. But nevertheless, it's a huge, huge impact. One of the things we set to ourselves is to think how we can use the technologies of IoT, wearables, mobile, all of this together to try and prevent and reduce the amount of accidents that happen. So even if you take a look at this picture here, which looks innocent, which was there, here, looks like everyone is working okay. But when you take a closer look, you identify people are not wearing a helmet, people are not wearing the correct boots, they're not tied to prevent fall, and many, many other things that can happen in a working environment like that. And what we figured out that by using wearables, we can do much more. I'll show you a short video of the highlights of that. Maybe we can have sound for that? Yeah. No sound? Okay, luckily we have captions so you guys can read them. But basically, we provide an app for the employee. He logs in, he just says a few words about his role, he picks up the current role that he's taking, activates the sensors. Again, depends on what the schedule of that morning looks like. He would pick up the correct sensors, a quick questionnaires, how he's feeling, and off he's going to the work. Everything looks green, everything is connected, and it starts to get readings. And what we deploy is a set of shields, essentially. Shields that protect him from various hazards or things that can happen during the day. From a simple thing like to put his helmet on because he maybe forgot it or just neglected it, all the way to overexertion, exposures to heat, to noise, and many more hazards. Throughout the day, as the employees walk around, we continuously measure all of these physiological parameters about them, including the location. And if something is happening, which is of danger, we would again send an alarm to his manager, team leader, or just send a notification to the employee, maybe to take a rest. He's exposed to extreme heat. This is pictures from a factory, North Star Blue Scope, a pilot we did a year and a half ago. So part of what the application would advise the employees is just to take a break and continue the shift later. So let's move on. So the solution itself, as I said, is essentially built on multiple sensors we can put on employees. The hub is really served by a mobile application. So all of these sensors connect to the hub. It could be also a fixed device. And we do most of the computation on the edge, as Gavin said earlier. There is no reason to transfer, both from a privacy point of view, all of that data to the cloud. But we can do a lot of those things on the edge, all of the analytics. And if there is things that we want to send to the cloud, some alarms, notifications, and so on. One of the things that we can do also with the system is that it is dynamic in nature, meaning that if employees change the roles throughout the day or between days, we can deploy new shields from the cloud. We have a dashboard, and the supervisor can just apply a new shield. So let's take a couple of use cases. You've already seen the movie from North Star Blue Scope. Heat stress, for instance, is one of those shields that we deploy there. Now, to prevent a heat injury, it's not only enough to just measure the temperature at any given moment, and if it passes a threshold, to just alarm the employee or the manager. No, that's not enough. This is an accumulative risk that over multiple days, even if the employee is not exposed to extreme temperatures, but even if he's exposed to medium type of temperatures over a long period of time, multiple days, he might get injured. So we need to prevent that, and that's why these kind of analytics are things that run continuously for each and every employee over multiple days. And those risk models are continuously being calculated, and when the risk is high enough, we would just alert the employee. Similarly, overexertion by measuring the heart rate and heart rate variability, or exposure to various gases by wearing a gas sensor. We've concluded this pilot. You see here how many heat stress we identified, 34, overexertion, 18 cases. Again, these were cases that were not reported by the employees, and our system just detected them, notified the employees, and suggested if it is overexertion, maybe to take a rest. If it is a heat stress, maybe to take a break from or change places of work if possible, and so on and so forth. Of course, there is multiple analytics we can do and provide, again, the dashboard to the team leader or to the manager or the facility itself. And of course, there are also things of interest in between employees. For instance, we know the location. So if we have a shield that detects if somebody fall down or if somebody slipped, and if we see that there is a concentration of multiple employees that they sleep in the same area, most probably there is something there. Maybe it's dirty, maybe there's something on the floor, and we should take care of that. So having that dashboard to take a broad look is also very important. We also done pilots in an oil and gas company, one of the large companies in Canada. One of the challenges there is the size of that gas company, oil and gas company, meaning that it is over many kilometers square. So and one of the other challenges was that in this case, the employees could not walk around with phones. Phones are not intrinsically safe, and some of these gases could cause a fire if there is a mobile phone. So we deployed a different solution in which we were able to put fixed devices in certain places and transmit the data over gigahertz frequencies to longer distances of 1 kilometer and so on. And again, you can see here the list of the kind of shields. What's nice about the shields is that we can continuously develop new analytics, new AI-based shields that would over time learn and deploy them for the different scenarios and customers. So again, it was very brief. I'll be happy to chat more. I'll be here in the afternoon. One other topic that oftentimes you may have heard is the fact that there is some value in connecting operation with the design and design with operation. And that's really what this slide is trying to emphasize. Oftentimes, these things are pretty disconnected, meaning you have the design team, they design a system, a device, an engine, a car, whatever it is, a product, and then there is operation teams who would run them, sometimes have more insights or less insight. But there is a lot of value if one is able to close this loop, both to take into consideration at design time things about operation, what works well, what costs more or less, as well as at operation time to take into account all of the knowledge that was embedded at design time for that particular product. Many times when we come to customers and we observe the way that they are organized, you see this mesh of multiple departments and multiple links. It is really like a web in a sense, very loosely connected. And sometimes there are relationships, sometimes they develop new of these relationships, but it's a pretty big challenge, first of all, just to maintain these and certainly develop new, as well as to define the semantics between these relationships, okay, when you transfer the data between different tools, different environments. Really where we want to go, and sometimes you hear this term called digital twin. What we mean by that we have also a virtual representation of the physical device that we're manufacturing. And as I said, the ultimate goal would be to try and link throughout the process between the design, maybe the manufacturing, and operation, or it could be other phases depending on the industry itself, and be able to transfer data in a seamless way between these phases, all the way from the design to the manufacturing to take into account the design constraints, back from operation to design. And there are multiple things that can be optimized when you design the next version, the next release, if it is a car or whatever it is that you manufacture, when you can take those constraints, requirements into account in a continuous way with preserving, again, the semantics coming from those systems. Some of these things can be done throughout the life cycle of a new product. Some of these things are also things that can be very relevant at real time, meaning that you're trying to fix a problem at operation, but other than having the knowledge about what the end product is, you don't really have the design. Imagine if you have all of the design documentation, all of the design consideration with you at the time, most probably the technician who's trying to solve the problem will have much more insight. And again, similarly, while doing the design. So I think digital twin, the way we think about it, is not just to have a virtual representation of one specific component we are trying to build and being able to simulate and understand how to build it, but it's really being able to virtualize the entire chain, being able to understand and link it throughout the entire life cycle. That's the real value of digital twin. I'll move on to one of the next topics. We called it cognitive or AI-based operation guidance. So, as I said, there is a lot of value if we can bring all of the design knowledge to the field, to the technicians that are working in the field and are trying to cope and solve complex problems of existing systems. One of the things we try to apply is to add them more capabilities, more reasoning, more AI to the work that they are doing. So one of the pilots in which we were trying this out is technicians who go and fix appliances. I'm sure you guys, each and every one of us, encounter the situation when a technician comes to fix your dishwasher, washing machine, whatever it is. Oftentimes, in the first time he may come, he may not find the problem, or if he finds the problem, he may not have the correct spare parts to replace. One other challenge often that happens more than once is that they replace, if they have all the parts, multiple parts until they fix it, and oftentimes it happens that they replace many more parts that are needed, although some of them were actually working correct. Because, why? Because although they have some data, they have some readings, it's pretty hard to figure out where the problem lies. And in order to save time, they just go and replace a few more devices, components in the washing machine just to make it work. Who pays for that? If it's under warranty, it is the company from which you bought. If it's not under warranty, it is us who would pay that. So the approach that we took is to really take into account all the knowledge that we gain from all the best technicians that were there and fix similar problems, and documented them in one way or another. Usually these were text PMRs documents in which they did that. Plus they had all of the manuals, of course, and all of the design documents and everything. So there is a lot of knowledge. The problem is that not every technician that comes to your particular house can understand and be the best technician in the world or the expert. So what we want to do, as I said earlier, is augment that technician with AI. And what we do is really we use machine learning and various techniques to, first of all, analyze all of those unstructured data, all of those documents, all of those know-how from the technicians, and build up this model that you see there in the middle. You don't really need to understand in too much detail. It is a model that essentially allows us to track from the symptoms that we see back to where the problem is and improve the precision. Part of our challenge is to simplify the process of building this graph, these nodes that you see there, provide the correct weights, and understand what are really the problems. We've worked so far with one of the leading companies in the appliance manufacturing, and they spent quite a lot, and they already invested a lot to improve manually their process. And with this system, we were able to improve really, really significantly the error rate of their technicians. And at the end, you know, the technician would get a tool like this on its iPad. And the interesting thing is, on the right-hand side, you can see it gets a list of parts that he should replace with some probability, and he just needs to follow that. The nice thing is that this tool, as I said earlier, continues to learn and improve. Why? Because once the technician fixed the problem, replaced the parts that that we suggested, he would document the changes or how he fixed in a very short, with the tool itself, and this is more structured. And so our algorithm continuously to improve. So next time we have one more knowledge of one more technician that fixed a problem. And this way is also a way to cope. We've talked earlier about AI and the fact that we need huge amounts of data to train these systems. So yes, we had all the knowledge earlier from the previous problems that were solved with the technicians, manuals, but maybe that's not enough. But what's nice about this is that we continue and accumulate more and more insights and data as the technicians repair more and more of these. One more option is to also automate this by having remote assistance using augmented reality, which was mentioned earlier. So in some cases, the technician can cope by himself by fixing the problem using some AI tool, the one as I described. As I said, there are still problems that AI cannot solve or is not that good, and a human person actually can do that much simpler. So operation guidance is another opportunity for those technicians, is to have, in a sense, over their shoulder, an expert who is sitting somewhere in the back office. Okay, that's maybe the world expert. And whenever they encounter a problem, they can also get consultants from him. And both of them see the same picture as you see here. And the supervisor or the expert can point to certain places and give guidance of how to fix those things. He can just point to the right picture. So I'll move on to another topic, and I apologize that I'm kind of jumping quickly between topics, but I think all of them are interesting, so I hope you'll enjoy them. And again, come and ask more questions after that. So we've mentioned earlier that there are more and more chatbots. Yes, there are many of those, and some of them sometimes give you also a correct answer when you're asking them. But there is quite a way to go. And one of the things, when we started working with companies such as the automotive industry, they want to change really the experience that you have in the car. So we think much beyond just a chatbot. Really, the way they want to think about changing the experience is by providing you a personal assistant that is with you 24 hours a day. And that's the way we think about this. So imagine that you can get sort of a VIP experience, meaning that there is somebody always watching your schedule behind your back in the back end, continuously monitoring that everything is on schedule. And if something goes wrong, it would alert you ahead of time and suggest you to take an action. But it will also continuously learn about your preferences and prepare everything that you are going to encounter based on what you like and where you like to go. So proactiveness is one of those capabilities. So it might be that when you wake up in the morning, this assistant would tell you, you know, Gabi, maybe you should leave like 5-10 minutes earlier today because you have not fueled up the car and you don't have enough fuel to get to work. Or maybe another suggestion would be, while I'm driving, Gabi, I suggest you reroute to the place you're navigating currently because there is some bad weather ahead of you, and if you continue the way you started your navigation, you're most probably going to miss the meeting. Or if there is no alternative route, it would suggest, you know, Gabi, do you want me to reschedule that meeting for you? Or do you want me to add a conference call-in, video call-in, and just start the conference in the car? And so on and so forth. But it will continuously be proactive and think and help me out through the day. Do things for me rather than me just asking for it to do the things for me. And the other thing we want to achieve is to make it portable through the day, okay? So, as I said, it starts, and it's the first thing you see in the morning, maybe after your wife and kids, but it is with you in the car, and it continues with you to the office, to the hotel, to the hospital, or wherever you are. The other thing, it is also context-based, meaning that this assistant continuously tracks where you are and what you're doing. And again, for a good purpose, so that when it interacts with you, it can help you in the best way. So it needs to understand not only your long-term preferences, okay, what kind of music I like to hear in the car, what's my preferred chain of restaurants to go to eat, but also, if I'm currently in the middle of doing something, it may not disturb me and wait until I finish to do that. Or if I'm currently outside walking and starts to rain, and I don't like to walk in the rain, it won't come and suggest me to do, and I don't know, continue and walk, but rather suggest me how to take maybe an Uber taxi or train or whatever to my next destination. Can we have voice? No. So one of the examples we did is with this Oily. Oily is this autonomic self-driving car. No driver, and there is no, basically there's just a microphone there, which you can conversate with. In this case, you know, you can give it commands to take you to certain destinations. You can conversate with it about the weather. You can ask recommendation for a restaurant, and so on and so forth. So it's a very nice pilot that we did, and we continue to work with them, again, to improve these kind of conversations. Jefferson Hospital is another example of such a place where we're piloting. Again, the goal here is you have such an agent or such an assistant in your room, you don't need the doctors or the nurses for each and everything that you want to ask about. So as I said, there is a boom with many thousands of these chatbots. Many of them are not there where we want them to be. And I think the main point is that people, as consumers, expect to have these insights. Okay, they expect these systems to be much more proactive in nature and bring more value. As I said earlier, privacy is always a concern. So other than being personalized, proactive, portable, as I said, and also run on the edge, privacy is the main concern. So the way we build this is in such a way that we don't look into the data of the employees or of the data of the consumers. The data is theirs, and we preserve the privacy. One of the challenges when we are building these bots is that there is not yet a lot of knowledge and know-how of analyzing those or understanding when a good conversation took place or not. So we as an industry, or not even the academia, we have not yet defined what it means, what are those parameters that actually would tell us if a conversation was good, if it achieved its goals, okay? Maybe sometimes a short conversation in a specific context, that's what should have been done and it was successful. Actually, a long conversation may denote that it didn't go as well as expected. Maybe the chatbot didn't even understand my questions. So there's much more work to be done here to understand what are those parameters and what are the different parameters that we want to look to predict whether a conversation was good. And again, there will be multiple roles in our organization that would want to analyze this for multiple things. Finally, Gavin also mentioned, and I'll just emphasize it a little bit, more and more of this computation is shifting towards the edge. I mentioned here some of the reasons, like connectivity, some other cases, regulation, privacy, bandwidth that is available. You've seen through the scenarios I mentioned, whether it's employees out there in the field or whether it is when I'm driving in a car, there is not necessarily connectivity throughout all of the places that I'm going. For that reason, it makes sense to shift more and more of these capabilities to the edge. Luckily, all of these smartphones that we carry around and many other devices have huge amounts of compute power. In fact, when you look today and sum up the amount of storage that we have on all of our cell phones together, it is more than what we have in the cloud. Similarly, the compute capabilities. Part of the challenge is that it is distributed with multiple devices, so it's a little bit harder to do that. But there is a new era that we think in which we'll see more and more of these capabilities being computed on the edge. The challenge, and these are things that we are looking at, is how to simplify the programming of developing these applications. It's not only the case that I want just to take this simple AI compute, let's say speech to text or text to speech, and move it to the edge and run it there isolated. No. The experience I want to give to the driver is that as long as there is connectivity, he conversates with the car and gets services from the online services. And when there is loss of connectivity, it, in a seamlessly way, continues the conversation in a hybrid mode, meaning locally. I may continue to be able to activate the car, get insights about the car from the car manual, invoke and hear my music, and so on and so forth. And maybe even do some transactions, like I want to purchase something or make a reservation, but that cannot be executed right away at real time because I'm disconnected. My expectation would be, though, that I can invoke those commands, the system will track and store them, and when connectivity will be back, it will actually execute those commands on my behalf. That's a real hybrid scenario, and that's where we're heading. Of course, the challenge is, again, to develop those applications. And, of course, everything can be programmed. But our goal is to simplify that. Now, today, most of the cases is that we do all of the learning AI that we've mentioned earlier, and the inferencing, meaning the understanding at runtime, everything is done on the cloud. And we just use the edge to get the data and fetch it and send it to the cloud. In the long-term future, we would like to do everything, as I said, both the learning and the inferencing as well on the edge, at least in some cases. We are not there yet, because learning usually consumes large amounts of compute. We need GPUs, memory. That's usually not yet available on the edge. So today, where we are is that we can do the learning usually on the cloud, spend more time, make that there, build the AI models, and push them to the edge, okay? And do the inferencing on the edge and run the analytics on the edge. And that's usually the practice we are doing today. There are, of course, some challenges. You cannot just take an AI model that you've learned on the cloud and just push it as is to the edge. You usually need to make it somewhat smaller and more efficient to run and take advantage of the edge. And we are building tools to simplify that experience as well and make it simpler. Finally, again, a lot of these capabilities that I mentioned and all of these scenarios would require some sort of IoT platform that would be able to scale, to connect to millions of devices, get and send millions of messages per second, do the analytics, the AI, whether it is on the edge or in the background. So again, part of the challenges here is to build up this scalable platform in a cost-effective way, okay, so that we really can connect it to any number of billions of devices that exist there outside. And on the last comment, also Gavin mentioned this morning blockchain. And there are many, many scenarios that we already see, certainly in logistics, in the financial markets, and also I saw already a startup in Israel not long ago that is already building a marketplace for trading energy. And we see that blockchain and IoT in many scenarios go actually together. And oftentimes the edge, which is an IoT device, could participate in a bigger blockchain transactional scenario. So for that reason, we actually integrate the blockchain capabilities so that they can be part of our IoT edge devices And in that thing, you can think about it that each and every gateway or any other edge device that you have can actually invoke and start a blockchain transaction. It was quick. Sure. So
Thank you, Mr. Gabby Zodek, for your insightful presentation on trends and future directions in cognitive IoT. Before we ask everyone to send their questions about Gabby's presentation, we would like to showcase the 2 videos embedded in Gabby's presentation to complete the IBM experience.
Should I go back to that slide?
Wearables are the biggest new innovation in technology since the smartphone. Wearables are used today to help people get active, stay fit, lose weight, and get organized. But there are many new applications that have not been tried yet, such as worker safety. Let's take a look at an employee safety scenario. David works at a local steel mill. When David arrives at work, he starts his shift by logging into the IBM Employee Wellness and Safety app. The app tracks his actions and vital signs and keeps him safe from different hazards. David puts on his wearable devices and pairs them to the app. The app now starts monitoring his behavior and vital signs using multiple sensors. In the meantime, David's supervisor logs into the Wellness and Safety app on his device. He can now track his team's safety and get real-time notifications if any hazard has taken place. He can see which of his team members are also logged in and view their current status. Inside the mill, David is at his position smelting iron in a blast furnace. After working too long without a break, he gets a notification that he's at risk of getting heat stress from the excessive exposure. He takes a break, rests for 15 minutes, drinks a lot of fluids, and then returns to work. David's supervisor gets an alert on his app about David's situation and comes to check on him. David finishes the shift safely and completes a quick post-shift survey on the app. He then leaves the plant and heads home to see his family.
Needs. Is that a thing? I'm just waiting here. There should be someone called Ollie coming to pick me up. Ollie?
Hello, James.
Who's that?
It's me, Ollie. Please have a seat.
Right. Where's the driver?
I'm the world's first cognitive, self-driving shuttle. And I'm electric. I'm the future of travel.
Is this your only voice? Can you do any other voices? Can you do a Tennessee accent?
Hey, y'all. Who wants grits?
I mean, honestly, I don't always trust my driving. Why would I trust a computer?
Because I don't drink, text, or get tired.
So how do you flirt with other buses if you don't text?
Ha, ha, ha.
Was that your laugh? Thanks so much, Ollie. Thank you.
Okay, so again, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this talk. I'll be here in the afternoon. I'll be happy to continue the discussion. And I said to some of you, we in research are also always happy to collaborate on all of these new and cool technologies to try out some of them in your environment. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Gabby Zodek. For any questions about Gabby's presentation, please message MTech at Workplace or text your questions to 0920-919-4068. Again, if you have any questions about Gabby's presentation, please message mtech@workplace or text your questions at 0920-919-4068. Thank you. Let us now continue our journey to tomorrow. Please join us in welcoming to the stage Cisco's Manager of Smart Connected Communities with her presentation on redefining cities in the digital transformation era. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Stravka Newman.
Hello. I'm sorry I didn't realize I was next. Sorry for keeping you waiting so late in the afternoon. And also thank you for so many of you still being here. I've been asked to talk a little bit about, I'm not seeing it on the screen, to talk a little bit about, sorry. There we go. I really wanted to show that picture because for me that's an ultimate expression of what's happening with the digital transformation. And I'm sure that it's been stressed a lot today, but I think it cannot be stressed enough how important it is to realize what digital transformation does to all kinds of industries. And you might be wondering, why am I showing this picture when we go talking about cities? Well, I was traveling from Hong Kong to come here today, and this is actually the window dressing from Chanel store, the flagship Chanel store in Hong Kong. And I was wondering, why would Chanel even start thinking about what technology does to their business model? they have to understand who their customers are, how they can satisfy them better, how they can provide a better experience. So it's all around us and we need to embrace it, and I'm sure that's been stressed as well today. So let me put a little bit of context about cities, and I've been doing that for about 8 years, 9 years now. I've been based in Europe, and now I'm based in here in Asia, where we're looking at what the smart city market looks like and what cities should be doing to embrace the digital transformation. It's quite a complex topic. But first of all, the trends around the world. So what is happening, and we're all aware of this, is in social and demographic context, the population is shrinking, and there is an aging problem that we have to face, and it's not anymore just the developed world issue. It's happening in the emerging markets as well. Life expectancy is up everywhere, and fertility rates are going down also everywhere, which in economic sense that will have certain challenges around the GDP that is going to be produced, even though emerging markets are on higher and higher GDP at the moment, reaching some of the developed world as well. This is going to slow down, and our productivity rates will also slow down. And then in terms of technology, what we are here today, I mean, it's everywhere. Mobile, cloud, video, IoT, it's all the trends, as well as the computing and storage costs are declining, which makes technology more and more accessible. Now, since I'll be talking about urbanization and what's the impact on city, I wanted just to give you this perspective on what really is staggering, what staggering urbanization we are looking at. There are 10,000 people moving to cities every hour. Now, if you do the maths, this is actually one London being added as a city every month, London being 8.3 million population. And the challenges we will have to face will be all around the infrastructure that is stressed. I mean, unfortunately, probably in the Philippines, you have more experience than some of the people, than some of us living in more developed countries. There's a lot of stress on the urban infrastructure that we need to solve. There is the traffic issues, which I'm sure some people on Makati don't like to hear about. And so are the formation of urban slums, sustainability challenges. But more importantly, how do cities keep on providing the basic services to their citizens? May it be access to education, may it be access to healthcare, or just their regular citizen services. And so we have to think about new solutions. What are the questions we need to ask ourselves to come to those solutions? They have to be questions that are asked in a new way. For example, do we always have to go to the doctor? And I'm saying that in a couple of contexts. One is, if a water pipe has bursted under the ground in the city, do we have to fix it only after the street has been flooded with the water? Or if the lights don't work in certain neighborhood, do we have to fix them days after it's happened because we don't have this intelligent information? But on the other hand, how do we also as cities provide sustainable and engaging social environment? Because that's also part of our living, right? It's not only just about the technology that will improve our infrastructure, but what is the core of creating a really community spirit? And this is a study that I came across. Actually, it's a research, and it's quite shocking, and I'm still not sure what the answer is, but I'll explain the slide. These are two communities in Cleveland, Ohio. They are only 8 miles apart. The male life expectancy is 24 years difference, which means that in Huff, it's pronounced Huff on your right side, is the one where people live up to 64 years of age, male particularly. In Lyndhurst, people live till 88. Now, I'm not sure if that's good or bad, considering our aging problem. Maybe it's not so bad that some people live less in Huff than others. However, the finding behind it is it has to do a lot with the crime rates. So people are dying, number of deaths due to violent crimes is much higher in Huff. It's not definitely the issue not having healthcare, access to healthcare. That's what the first thing that people think is, do they have access to healthcare? How less privileged they are than Lyndhurst. Some of those factors play a role. But another thing that was interesting is in Lyndhurst there is a lot of social and community spirit, where people go and do a lot of activities together, because it's all about the lifestyle that the community is enhancing. Now, the other question we should be asking is education, of course. How do we educate the future workforce, maybe surgeons, architects, engineers, wherever they are, right? This is a common problem. And fortunately, there is more and more companies and cities embracing the fact that they have to deal with providing equal education everywhere. Now, these are a couple of examples, not necessarily our company being involved in all of them, but Hershey is the cocoa manufacturer. They've launched a distance learning program between a couple of African countries and their headquarters, where they actually teach farmers how to grow cocoa. And what this does is it's actually we are really seeing result of economic improvement for those farmers who are taking this program. In Songdo, in Korea, we have people from home. They can do one-on-one tutoring with native English-speaking people from the States. They actually do more in Songdo. They can actually consult their doctor from their residential home using different video conference type of solutions. And the last example is an astronaut out of space teaching science to university students. And now, why do we have traffic? Honestly, there are really four reasons that we have found out. Number one, which might be odd, not sure about the Philippines, but the number one is 30 to 40% is caused by people driving around trying to find parking space. That's a quite large number. The second one is poor signage, so people are not aware what's coming across. And of course, we saw some things around how your car could be equipped to help you with that. So as much as you're aware of what's coming across, you can take more informative decision taking that journey or not. Another reason is actually how quickly you respond to issues on the road as a city. So that's really something cities have to think about, and they are implementing intelligent operations centers where they can respond quicker to incidents, faster, realize what's happening, which will help, or diversions, or if they are repairing the road. So that will also help reduce the traffic. And last but not least, a lot of people coming from outside at the same time to the cities, right? So that's what the rush hours are all about. Cities are looking at, like Amsterdam project I have been involved in, looking at providing those alternative work centers. And I'm sure a lot of progressive BPOs here are also looking into that. How can you have multiple locations for your call centers? Because a lot of people coming to cities is also coming from the BPOs in Manila particularly. So, as I said, parking is something that we are looking at as part of our solution portfolios and strategy. And, you know, I'm not sure you've experienced it, but I have. Just the last spot, I couldn't get, somebody else got the spot before me. So it would be nice if I know where and when exactly there is parking available for me, so I can just go straight there. The other thing is about waste management. Do trucks have to travel all around town at the schedules that they have to every can, every day, every time that they have that schedule? Wouldn't it be better if they know when certain can is full and they only collect that? So you can actually dynamically reroute the trucks, so you can have a dynamic rotation of the trucks, which will actually eventually contribute also to some of the traffic issues. Now, I'm sure you've spoke a lot, so I'll spend just a little bit about how to embrace the digital transformation, because for companies like Meralco, for example, this is a very important imperative. And digital transformation is really a couple of things. Everybody has mentioned that this is my version of it. How do we connect people? We've done that already quite well across the board. How do we connect now all the things and all the objects that are coming? And this is the wave that we're experiencing now. But ideally, from all these connections, what we want is to harness the data so that we can provide information to the right person at the right time to take a decision. And companies who do not embrace digital transformation might be obsolete, and that was also mentioned. And my favorite example is, although a bit outdated now, is I remember 10 years ago when I had my first Palm phone. It was Palm Trio. And I could read my emails on the go. I was like, this is amazing. That company does not exist today. You know, it's really just Android and Apple iOS systems that are in the market. And a lot of others have disappeared simply because they didn't catch the wave of transformation. And we see now disruption everywhere, right? Airbnb completely disrupting hospitality market, Uber disrupting the transport and taxi market. And one very a good example for what could be another challenge for utility companies is, I don't know if you've heard of Tesla vehicles, they actually are putting solar panels on top of their cars, and so they can be self-sufficient when they need more energy. But ideally, if they actually have generated more energy that they need to consume, they can disrupt the market by providing this energy to somebody else, so creating this decentralized grid. This is more on the technology curve, so where we are, I think it's important to understand, everybody's talking about Internet of Things. We're still pretty much in the beginning of what the potential is in the digital transformation, because right now we're only talking about sensors. How do we connect the objects? How do we connect things, right? And facilitating that communication. Now the phase we are coming in is how we use this to optimize our processes, so we're transforming our business processes. But the real value will come when we actually can design new business model. Why wouldn't Meralco be a company that offers services to the city in terms of not only energy, maybe the street lighting? Why couldn't the city be a customer for a light per day or a light for the month? So it is more like street lighting as a service rather than the way cities have to deploy street lighting today. So on the two sides, you will see that at the moment the market is driven by all these hardwares and sensors, but ideally when the services, software and platforms get adopted, we will see how the real potential from new business models will come. So this slide is really about emphasizing the fact that Asia is a quite large, has a quite large share in the whole market of Internet of Things. The challenge is that some of the speakers have already mentioned, is really about the security, about not knowing how to do the return on investment. You know, all these fancy solutions, what do they bring? Now there are tangible models already for this, and no standards. So we will have to. There are a lot of alliances trying to provide some standards around the Internet of Things, particularly around communication protocols. That is one of the biggest problems. And not a lot of companies out there able to provide end-to-end solutions. Now, diving a little bit into smart cities, I just don't have my watch. So do I get a note if I'm too late? Okay, because I have getting carried away normally. So smart cities is all and nothing. I've been doing that for 9 years, and it was all about making everything intelligent. However, I think the challenge was for cities to make these tangible use cases where they can measure. And we have, in the journey we have had as a company, we originally only talked about communication and connecting things. But now it's all about actually making correlation between the things that we connect. So when cities decide to go on a journey for smart cities, my advice is find the sustainability, the true sustainable use cases that are tangibly measurable. So from the soft to the hard, actually from the hard to the soft benefits that you can measure. Now a lot of smart cities cities thought that smart is all about environment, less carbon footprint, less solid waste generated per capita, etc. But we have to look in the economic and social portion. So on the social side, you have to be looking at crime rates, hospital admission rates, and on the economic side, you can measure, obviously, income per capita before and after you've started the project, but mostly about new jobs created, new company registrations. And so finding this intercept between those three and being able to measure them gives a different type of use cases for different cities, and obviously you have to match that to the challenges that we're trying to solve. However, it's important to have these indexes. And that's why cities are so hesitant to take the steps. Okay. So, quick summary on what Internet of Things and Smart Cities is all about. Just I want to give a couple of examples because that's what we're focusing. After this journey we have been, the strategy that we have as a company is really looking to the urban infrastructure. And when we talk about urban infrastructure, we're talking about street lights, parking, safety and security. So everything that facilitates the experience of the citizen within the space of the city. And the complexity is the same as generally in all the industries for the IoTs. There is a lot of people out there talking about solutions. There is a lot of fragmented point solutions. Cities generally also operate in silos, which makes it very difficult to correlate and combine and let them work together. Of course, funding is a large question, you know. This sounds great. It's how do I do that? Who is going to fund this? Now, and again, water management, waste management are some of the other most important portions of the infrastructures that we are looking at. Now, so as a company, we've always thought, you know, connectivity is very important. So we bring connectivity and making possible all of these sensors and objects and cameras and everything that comes in the city infrastructure to connect. But now they are still operating by itself. Once connected doesn't mean that you're actually harnessing the real benefit. So the things that are coming into the market, not only from us, is all these digital platforms. And some of them are more generic, others are more specific, but they're very important to make possible the correlation of the data. And I'll explain what I mean with that. So this is just more on the architectural slide, and it's maybe too technical, but it's really the messaging here is, as a city, a lot of cities are doing smart things. Smart lighting is a very common project that we come across. Smart parking, making sure, you know, people find quicker available places, and automating the whole payment, and all of that connected to the internet, right? Because that's the whole digital transformation all about, is having this one, everything is online. Now, the challenge is though that once they're doing this into silos, they're reaping some benefits, but it's far not what they could be reaping as a total benefit. So these platforms that are coming, what they really want to do is have this horizontal layer across the different projects or across the different infrastructure elements, making possible the data to work together. So an example would be, if I'm a smart street light, there is no cars passing by. Why should I be on 20 or 12 hours a day, what is normally the schedule? The light should be adapting. There are people passing by, the light goes on. People not passing by or cars are not parked around, the light should be automatically going off. And this only is possible when you actually release the data and combine the data between the parking system and the lighting system. And the same for the safety and security. The camera should be maybe not transmitting feeds for 12 hours or 24 hours a day. Now that's just a snapshot of a dashboard that we see cities. It's one of our solutions, but there's different things around there. So they are, this is a snapshot of a dashboard. What you see here is one pane of glass, all your infrastructure elements. So your lighting infrastructure, all your lights that are connected. It doesn't matter how they're connected. There could be many different solutions in there. That's one of the problems that comes from the whole fragmentation and lack of standardization. But you shouldn't care about how these lights are connected. All these lights are individually manageable. You can dim them on and off. You can switch them on and off from here. Now you have your parking information. Now, and the reason we see lighting and parking quite a lot as the first use cases that city deploys is because they're one of the most tangible use cases that cities have in terms of how they can calculate the savings and how they can calculate additional revenues. A lot of cities lose money because parking fines are not issued on time, so people actually stay longer than what they've paid for. And then the traffic information coming in, and so are some other, depending on the use cases that are on most priority, higher priority. Now that's what Jaipur is. Jaipur is a city in India, historic city, and And I know Makati has also done some stuff with their apps, with the Zen app. The reason I'm showing this snapshot, these are just the snapshots of the app that everybody can just download on their phone, is that they've exposed entire information is available for the city infrastructure, for the city services, is available within the app, which means that they have already embraced this idea of being able to pull all the data from one single source. Okay, and now a couple of slides on what all of this means about the market and about the transformation of cities in terms of how to realize those benefits. So we call it an urban services industry that we see emerging. Now you probably know IT services. The Philippines is a large contributor to the whole globalization of the IT services and the engineering services. Now the next wave is those global urban services. And what it really means is different companies, like even utility companies, telcos, even maintenance companies could become so-called urban service providers. Why? Because there is a lot of value at stake. Now we've calculated what are the tangible benefits to be ripped off in the different use cases. In utilities and smart metering, obviously, is one of the largest, but safety and security, city infrastructure. And the way we've calculated this value at stake is pretty much looked, if you had deployed these technologies that are available today, how much would you be saving in each of those different categories, in these different use cases, and how much you'll be actually generating as additional revenue, which provides obviously an opportunity for companies to grab this. And it's not going to be the traditional telcos. We are seeing maintenance companies, a lot in Europe, the ones that maintain certain infrastructure, like for street lighting, for example. They drive around in trucks all day long to check if the lights are working. Now, if you have obviously smart street lighting infrastructure, you will be knowing when and where you have to go to maintain the street lights. So there will be a lot of benefits in operational savings that this company can save. And the messaging here is that we see this as the next wave of global services after what we've done with IT and IT engineering services. Here is a bit of an examples of cities we work with. We've calculated the value at stake there, which gives the cities now a tangible motivation. Why should they embark on the journey of smart city and on the journey of IoT for a city? And as I said, Jaipur is one example that I showed. We work in Chicago and Barcelona, and you can see the use cases are always different. Some are same, of course, but some are different. It really depends on where the benefits lie for a city. And I'm gonna finish here by saying that smart city is a journey, as we are on a journey here today, and it's not a destination. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stravka Newman, for your insightful presentation on redefining cities in the digital transformation era. For any questions about Z's presentation, please message MTECH at Workplace or text your questions to 0920-919-4068. All your questions will be sent to MTECH or texted to 0920-919-4068, and we will have our afternoon panel session later for your questions. And now, we will now take a short break and resume the program in 20 minutes. Snacks will be served at your table, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy your snack. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, for any of your questions from the past presentations this afternoon, please message MTECH at Workplace or text your questions to 0920-919-4068. Again, message your questions to MTECH at Workplace or text your questions to 0920-919-4068.
the music play on. Moving, kicking, grooving, let the music play. Here, right here, right here, let the music play on. Moving, kicking, grooving.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to MTECH 2017. Our program will resume shortly, so please settle down and enjoy your snack. Thank you.
Right here, right here, let the
got the love in the music. I got soul in the music. I got the love in the music. I got soul in the music. I got the love in the music. I got soul in the music. I got the love in the music. Getting deep in the mix. Oh man. I got house music fever. Everybody dance. It's a family thing. You are welcome here. I got peace. My family. For love. The energy.
New York, you always bring it out of us. You demand it, we deliver. God bless you.
Where's Jack?
He's on holiday. What do you need?
I need the temperature for part 5.
Ask the new guy.
The new guy?
Jack trained him.
Jack's guidance would be to maintain the temperature at negative 160 degrees Celsius.
That doesn't sound like Jack.
Actually, Jack would say, hey mate, just cool it to minus 160 and we're set. Good on you.
Oh yeah, that's Jack.
This is not a cloud. This is a car protected from storms by an insurance company that knows the weather down to the square block. This is a diamond tracked on a blockchain protected against fraud, theft, and trafficking. This is a financial transaction secure from hacks and threats others can't see. This is a patient's medical history made secure while still available to their doctor at their fingertips. This is an asteroid live streamed to millions of viewers from 220 miles above Earth. This is AI trained by experts in 20 industries. Your industry.
Hello.
This is not the cloud you know. This is the IBM cloud. Designed for your data. AI ready. Secure to the core. The IBM cloud is the cloud for business. Yours. Another day of work. Another round of all of this. Why do you do it? Why do you put up with it? It's not just a paycheck. You actually like what you do, even love it. And today, you can do things you never could before. You're developing AI applications on the cloud. Finding insights hidden in decades of medical documents. Turning social data into new designs. Managing millions of IoT sensors and monitoring billions of security events every day. So grab some leftovers and get back to it, all you engineers, retailers, doctors, bankers, or whatever it is you do. And do the best work of your life.
Good afternoon, everyone. We hope you enjoyed your afternoon snack. Let us continue our journey to tomorrow. Please join us in welcoming to the stage Hitachi's Corporate Officer and Corporate Chief Scientist with his presentation on artificial intelligence, how it will change society. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Kazuo Yano.
Thank you. My name is Kazuo Yano. I came from Tokyo. I will talk about AI. Hollywood movie has described many AIs. And if you look at those movies, you suppose that in the near future, something like Terminators or R2-D2 will appear in front of you. But that will not happen. It's unrealistic. Real AI is very different what Hollywood movie describes. But on the other hand, AI is not just a buzzword. I will show today, AI has already changed the business already. So I think for the future business, or now, every business person needs to know what AI really is. And I will talk about that. So first I will talk about why, for the first time, we need AI, and reality of AI, and the relationship with human, and how it will change the business on this planet. In the last 100 years, we have made the repetition more efficient by making manual, standardize the work process, and making machine work. But we have very different situations right now. The demand is changing, unforeseen and complex, and the risks are emerging and changing rapidly. So how we cope with those complex and unforeseen changes? We cannot solve that complex and uncertainty by just talking in a conference room. We need reality. That's why we need experiment and learning. But of course, you have customers and contracts and businesses and responsibilities. So our opportunity to do experiment is limited. That's why we need to do all those experiments mostly on a computer by using past data. That kind of experimental setup and site is what AI really is. And on that vision, computer needs to be regarded very differently from a conventional automation process, which operate as it is coded as a program. But we have a data in which we have variability of noise and some patterns. Then some patterns leads to another pattern, and that pattern might be related to your business outcome. If that is decoded by human expert, it costs a lot. But if the computer decodes that signal itself and changes behavior itself, that's what I call outcome-based, outcome-oriented system. To make that happen, first thing, the most important thing is not start from data. Start from the business outcome you try to raise. And there are a lot of action candidates that might be related to legal things or history of the relationship with your customer. So AI cannot, figure out what the action might be possible or not possible. So action needs to be specified by humans. But based on outcome, action, there are a lot of conditions in your systems, IT or facility systems. AI now is able to decide flexible and optimal actions based on your conditions to raise your outcome. And to demonstrate this capability, we made this demo. At the other side of the table, we attached our AI called H. H is instructed to maximize this swinging robot. And H is allowed to change its mean motion and gets a lot of data, like moving and gyros and status for the motors. At first, there's no prior knowledge, so the only thing it can do is change randomly. But just after 1 minute or something like that, it gets skillful and skillful because of this endless and constant pursuit of the outcome and learning process. And if you look carefully, you might have the feeling of empathy with this robot. This is an anthropomorphic thing. So anyway, as you can see, the armpit can get larger and bending knee here and stretching knee there. And that's exactly what we do when we ride a swing. But this is not the end of the story. As we wait 1 more minute, the amplitude gets yet larger. What happened? Actually, it's bending knee there and here twice in a cycle that we do not do. And bending knee here gives us a sense of fear. That's why it is more difficult, but it is quite logical from a mechanical point of view. After showing this demo, many people said to me, I really finally realized what is AI. And but there is some small percentage of people who is always skeptical. Isn't it just a swinging software? No, no, no. So we made another demo, unplugging the cable from a swinging robot to a horizontal bar robot. Both are mechanically completely different. So it started again from a random motion without any software change. But this endless pursuit of the outcome and constant learning and experiment, just 2 or 3 minutes, it requires very much skill, as you can see. And after this, many people ask me, what happens next? So we enlarged the angle of the leg of the robot without changing any software. We looked at what happened. Please look at it. Okay? So the first swinging random motion to a rotation, the same software has been used. No special purpose software for rotating created. That's the beauty of the AI. To make that happen, we have devised a way, not just a deep learning, which learns from brain functioning. We added evolutionary function that combines multiple purpose of parents' gene and make new functions very randomly. Massive combination is generated, and that allows us to discover very unsurprising, unexpected features with very small number of data. In the demo of the swinging robots, only 5 minutes is needed to achieve that amplitude. That means only 300 data is result data or supervising data is there. So that's a very small number of data. Learning from a small number of data means it is more intelligent. So this technology has been applied to variety of use cases. The first one is in warehouse, which receives orders from a retailer and pick up items and pack into the box and ship to the truck. Thousands of orders are handled, hundreds of people. And the data is recorded in a warehouse management system. We attached artificial intelligence to this system, existing system, and defined the outcome as a total labor time. It's, of course, related to cost and productivity. And it every day makes schedule for the workers very automatically and learning from a very much diversity and variability daily demand and supply. And in total, 8% of productivity enhancement has been very constantly achieved. The next one is for the retail store. We attached artificial intelligence to the existing ID POS system, purchasing system, and to define the outcome as the sales per customer. This massive data from an existing system is supplied to the AI, but also it is supplied to the human expert, and we arrange the competition, how much money, revenue they can increase. Human experts interviewed with the executives and store managers and many people and look at the store and think about made an action, something like placing LED bulb to a more visible place and something like that. And AI gave us a very weird answer. The presence of an employee at one spot in a store should be enhanced. Very weird. And we did both actions independently. Human intervention didn't show any results. AI result have shown 15% improvement in revenue. Whether the employee is that red spot or not changes the revenue, but also as well as the working pattern of the customers, as well as frequency of the communication between customer and sales clerks. After knowing that facts, to confirm is very easy by just aggregating the number by just Excel. But without knowing the answer, it is very difficult to discover those kind of things. The AI is very good at reducing resources to operate for infrastructure has been also a very good AI application. We attached this AI to the existing railway system and to minimize the electricity to operate. And actually, very surprising answer, reduced the electricity by 14%. The similar effect is exemplified by this water desalination plant, where, by pumping, the salt water is purified. And actually, many experts look at this membrane and pumping and water and pH, something like that. But actually, the water input to very far from a membrane matters a lot to the electricity cost. Something very different is financial application. Of course, providing loan to somebody who needs opportunity is very important economic activity. My wife has a very good friend living near my house. She has 2 daughters. Actually, one of them is my daughter's very good friend. As her daughters grow up, she needs housing and education, financial support. But she has very difficulty because she's a single mother. Banks conventionally, banks restrict themselves to providing loan. Somebody who doesn't have a guarantee or who is a single mother. But in this big data and AI, we can make much better decision flexibly, even though the one is a single mother. Depending on the situations, we can provide chance. Thus, we have worked together with this bank and to predict very precisely whether this applicant will be default or not. The similar problem to detect something very rare is applied to this Tokyo Stock Exchange to detect fraud in trading. It is also very rare. It means whether the technology is sophisticated or not changes a lot in the result or prediction accuracy. We have very good accuracy, and it is used. It has been the Tokyo Exchange market has provided this news release that it has shown very good results. And this e-commerce company uses this technology for package delivery as well as marketing. And this securities company uses this technology for daily and daily dynamic pricing of the stock lending. And already this AI has been applied to 15,7 cases in 40 domains, only with the difference in configuration and data, which we call multi-purpose AI. So in a naive sense, we might be able to develop special purpose AI for each purposes. But AI is from the first more general purpose than the conventional software. Because of that, we invented this multi-purpose AI, which is depending on the configuration and data. Wide variety of problems can be handled by this AI. But of course, there is a condition. 3 types of data are needed. One is the outcome data, which your objective. The second is action data, which can be controllable. Condition data, which are not controllable. These 3 conditions or 3 data are available is very essential. Another important thing is what kind of problem is suitable for AI to be solved. The last year's competition between computer and human Go champion shows us very insight what is good for AI and what human is not good at. Conventionally, in a Go game or chess, it has been believed the last part of the game is very strong for computers because they are, search exhaustively by using computer power. But as a matter of fact, what happened last year is very different. The computer was very strong in a mid stage or early stage. And in a mid stage, there are very wide white space, degree of freedom we can explore. Under such situations, what humans do? They just rely on experience and conventional knowledge of the tactics or, creature. That's why we have an unexplored, very big space that computer has explored. And so, if there is a big data, the complex problem is much more suitable for AI, and the problem human depends on heuristics. AI has much more white space to explore, and 3 types of data I mentioned. The Go game meets all these 3 conditions. That's why very strong. But more important problem is the business outcome enhancing. That's why we have invested on this digitization of business by AI. By categorizing this plan, do, check, action. Conventionally, computers have been used to automate the do category in enterprise system. By operating those computer systems, we can have much data, called big data, that might be analyzed to provide better action plan But we have plan and learning which has been covered by humans. If the computer and data assist those kind of things, we can create complete digital PDCA cycle. That has a tremendous impact on cost and speed of the business. And another merit of the AI is to use unstructured data such as document and video and sound. So there are two usages to create digital cycle. Another thing is to use non-structured data to convert to something useful. That is very different, and both are important. So the AI is to change from rule-oriented practice to solve problems, to outcome-oriented problems, problem solving. Rule-oriented, you relied on the rule, something like you should not provide loan to a single mother. Very rigid. But we have more flexibility on this outcome-based, outcome-oriented system. Another important thing is for outcome-oriented area, we need to be conscious of what is real outcome for us and for humans, for business. Of course, the money and profit is very important. But around profit, we have a lot of humans. We need to care. The ultimate outcome for human has been known as a one word. That is happiness. We have studied what is happiness of the human being in the last more than 10 years. And year 2006, we have developed this kind of technology for quantifying, measuring 24-hour behavior of a human body movement and so on. And I became the first test subject March 16th, year 2006. And I put this wearable sensor on this wrist on that day. And after that, more than 11 years of my life has been recorded on a computer. This is year 2009, me. Red shows active motion. Blue shows stop, still motion. 24 hours, January to December. Naturally, I'm sleeping in nighttime, but if you look at here, my life gets a little bit irregular there. I'm moving here and sleeping there. That's, I was traveling upload. That shift corresponds to, I was west coast of the US. On this day, you can see I was moving whole day long. That was the day I moved in to my new house. Overwhelmed by the massive boxes, I need to move until 4 o'clock in the morning. These are 8 years of last 8 years of my life. I'm sorry. These are 4 people's 1 year of the life. If you look at person B, the person is waking up 5 o'clock at laser cut. And, but if you look carefully, this, comb-like pattern shows that the person is sleeping longer in weekends. If you look at person C, the person is choosing a very flexible wake-up pattern. But if you look carefully, the 3 red belts, commuting, lunch hour, and commuting back to home is very, very regular than any other people. The person D shows very regular commuting pattern, but if you look carefully, 2 lines there. I suppose the person is changing train twice every day. So the data itself is a just a wrist motion, so just a kind of a debris. But if you collect them and aggregate them and look at the pattern, it shows us much more meaning than just a wrist motion. That's why, thank you. That's why we start to believe this kind of pattern might embed whether the person has more productivity, motivation, or even happiness. We have collected more than 1 million days of human behavior with millisecond resolution in a wide variety of companies and workplaces. And finally, we have discovered how to measure your happiness by sensors. We asked 20 questions to 468 people. How many days did you experience happiness, loneliness, sadness, and so on? Answering from 0 to 3. The happiest people shows 3 times 20, that means 60, that maximum. That number averaged in a team shows whether the number is high, the team is very happy and activated. When it is low, it is some depressed, or that kind of workplace. That number is vertical axis. Those people are asked to wear bat-shaped accelerometer on the chest, and one feature of the physical motion of the chest shows horizontal axis, and it shows a very straight line. And the correlation as high as 9.4. It means without any survey, I can identify your happiness by just physical motion. But the motion is a very unconscious, very small one. And even just like you're sitting, you're moving small and stopping, moving, stopping, moving, stopping, that kind of pattern. And happy people are very consistently shows that start moving and stopping, that duration is sometimes short, sometimes long and middle. It is very diversified and mixed and wide variability. Unhappy people shows it is uniform and consistent. By using this discovery, I can measure your happiness just like your weight or height. And this is very important even for business, because happy people are consistently productive. Very consistently in call center, store, development projects, happy people are more productive. For example, in a call center case, where they put the headset and to sell some service to the potential customer, and how many orders they get in an hour is the index for evaluation. And surprisingly, when the people, the telemarketers are happy, they'll sell more, 34%, by 34%. And because they are happy, they'll sell more. Not because they sell more, they are happy. And very tiny thing, something like whether such a telemarketers have a very good chat during break time has a very tremendous impact on the happiness and productivity. That's human. By using this ultimate outcome for the general purpose AI, AI can provide you advice. What kind of communication, what kind of use of time is effective for you to be happier and more productive? We made that kind of system and asked employees to wear those badges. And for the call center case, this is a software called Dashboard, which provides advice for the supervisor whom you talked to first today. And there were 2 centers doing exactly the same work and very similar performance. And we applied this software for one of these. And 2 centers, after 1 year, 2 centers' productivity was different, on average 27%. Very big number. And 2 years ago, we introduced this service, and more than 30 companies have already used this service, including this bank, airliner, and so on. And recently we have updated the service for providing daily advice every day on your smartphone. What kind of communication use of time is effective for you to be happier and more productive? And last year, 600 sales employees of Hitachi company used that application. And the people who use that application, the team who uses that application more, gets happier very considerably next month. And the team who gets happier have much more orders next quarter for this B2B sales operations by, again, 27%. So we have much more space. Human can be enhanced by productivity, by using those tiny things, by making them happy. And so to make this service available, we developed this smartphone application without delivering the special purpose sensor. Your smartphone already has an accelerometer inside. So we developed this application just only, attaching your smartphone on your pocket or somewhere, 3 hours a day, we can measure your happiness and feedback. We are now doing massive experiments, and in the near future, we will expand that globally. And in that case, I hope you can join us. So AI is starting from the outcome, not by rule. For flexible decisions, resource allocation, scheduling, matching, and so on. We have already applied for M&A decision, or trade decision, or order decision in supply chain, sales recommendations and loyal customer fostering, manufacturing, reducing, enhancing productivity and quality, and the backyard operation, and so on. And I have many opportunities recently to talk about this kind of things in a board meeting of our customer company. And after my presentation in one board meeting of our customer company, one executive asked me, I now understand your technology sounds very great, but if all companies use this technology, will our company profit from it? This is a very important question, because this is the major difference between conventional software. When it is adopted, the operation and logic is completely the same because the same software. By contrast, the AI, which shows very different logic depending on the configuration and data. So each company or each applicant, based on the configuration data, the logic itself is very diversified. That's the beauty of this AI. So it grows your strengths. And just like in a billion years, our species has been diversified on the planet, this technology will diversify you and your company. And the most important thing is this is not the competition between machine and human. This is the competition between human and human. In a Go game case, the champion, Lee Sedol, competed not with the AlphaGo, the software. As a matter of fact, they competed with this Demis Hassabis and his team. They make their semiconductor chips, or even procured 1,000 kilowatts of electricity and configured 1,000 servers for that purpose. So one person and big team, big investment compete each other with different approach. And the latter one won. And this competition will take place in all business domains. So what is AI? AI makes every mechanism of society and business centering on the outcome and happiness of people, not just by the rule. This is a major challenge, and but of course, AI cannot make problems. Making problem is our responsibility for human. In the last 100 years, diversified people had to align with uniform process, machines, and so on. But the era is now finished. This technology allows diversified people, you, on your strengths. You can blossom at the place where you are, based on your strengths. So this is a very different technology as compared with something Hollywood movie described. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kazuo Yano. Thank you for your informative and insightful presentation on artificial intelligence. For any questions about Dr. Kazuo Yano's presentation, please message MTech at Workplace or text your questions at 0920-919-4068. Again, if you have questions regarding Dr. Kazuo Yano's presentation, please message MTech at Workplace or text your questions to 0920-919-4068. Your questions will be addressed later at the afternoon panel session. Thank you. Again, if you have any questions for Dr. Kazuo Yano's presentation, please message MTech at Workplace or text your questions to 0920-919-4068. you for your patience. We will resume shortly. Good afternoon, MTECH. Thank you for your patience. With your questions submitted, we will now have our afternoon panel session. This time around, we will have Ms. Patty Enriquez to facilitate the discussion. Patty is one of Meralco's CIT business partners. For this afternoon panel session, we would like to invite to the stage Ms. Z. Newman, Dr. Kazuo Yano, and our Chief Technology Advisor, Gavin D. Barfield. Thank you. And now, our afternoon panel session, we have Ms. Patty Enriquez to facilitate the discussion. We have Ms. Z. Newman, Dr. Kazuo Yano, and our Chief Technology Advisor, Mr. Gavin D. Barfield.
Hello, good afternoon. Are you still okay? I can't hear you. Are you still okay? Good. Okay.
Come and join you here.
Okay. Oh, can we call on... So Gabby's not here anymore, right? Can we call on the the speaker from IBM to join us here on stage as well.
We would also like to welcome Mr. Ruben Martin Mondejar from IBM.
Okay, so we started this morning when Gavin talked about the journey to tomorrow, and we had several speakers already here. So I'll just jump straight to the questions, because after 3 strong topics on smart cities, on AI, and cognitive IoT, the questions just kept flowing in work chat, and we just want to get into it. Are you okay? Okay. The first one, though there are promising technologies mentioned, a Forbes study was released and mentioned that there are 3 concerns that may be hindrances to the success of these technologies. The lack of computing power, the lack of people power, and the lack of business trust. What do you think of these concerns, and how do you think we should overcome them? So anybody can. Tough question, tough crowd.
Let me kick off then. Hello? Yeah. So one of the things I'm saying is that, and it was in my presentation, is it's very important to make tangible use cases when you deploy the technologies, because an innovation has always been like that. It seems like nice to have, not must to have, until it is must to have. So we're on that journey. When we talk to smart cities, what I can comment in more details is we have done studies across with cities. Where do they start so that they can actually have these tangible use cases that are measurable in terms of funding, right? That's the biggest problem, is how do you fund it? How does it make business sense? Back to the business trust. And we have these studies which we can share where cities have nominated 2 or 3 in the beginning, in the top, where they can see clearly revenue generation coming in or savings in terms of energy or operational savings. Once they deploy these 2 or 3 priorities where they can release funds, then they can actually invest those funds in other use cases that don't seem so tangible enough. Obviously, everything around improving the social and lifestyle of a citizen in a city is quite intangible and difficult to measure. So that would be my 2 cents on the business trust.
Right. Do you want to add something, Dr. Kuzubo?
Thank you. As I said, usually such kind of smart cities or even big data or connected industry or AI start from technology. But to my experience, starting from technology will not be successful. We need to start, as I said, from outcome. So, for example, if you talk about autonomous driving, usually I'm quite, I'm not satisfied with the discussion on autonomous driving, because autonomous driving is not the purpose. The purpose needs to be more clearly defined. Something like reducing the mobility time half the existing system or traffic system. That kind of clear outcome needs to be the starting point rather than technology. And of course, conventionally, we couldn't start from the outcome. But now, with the technology AI, we can start from the outcome. And also, but technology is not enough. We need to have some courage and some capability to make action for breaking the rule, existing rules, for the traffic or traffic signal or
car or quality, many regulations and rules there. So we need to change those rules. So combination of those, something we need to make by humans, and also the technology that start from the outcome is the attitude or methodology we need to make it possible.
Do you want to add something, Gavin? Okay. Okay, I'll just do my follow-up question. Since you said that we should focus on the outcome, if we were to implement this in your technologies in developing countries like the Philippines, where the demand is more than the supply that is available, how will this be done? How did your use cases governments respond to these technologies? Because it's good that we're here in MTech, we get to hear this technology, and then we go out and then people ask us, oh, can we do this? Can we do this? Does it apply here in the Philippines? So maybe you can share it with us.
I think the general methodology I talked about is a very general, just like following the rule. I propose is doing experimenting and learning very constantly is much more important than just obeying the rule. And the technology and data it is now supporting that kind of behavior to reduce risk without heavily depending on the rules. Of course, rule is needed, and I think that's quite independent, whether the application is in developed countries or developing countries. It's kind of a mechanism to face the problem. Where the change is there, I think the change is more evident in developing countries, and that means that kind of experiment and learning process has more impact on the results.
Right, you want to share something?
Yeah. So I've been traveling across Asia Pacific and Japan, and I was proud to say that in ASEAN, Philippines is actually one of the strongest competitors in terms of growth and technology. So if you look at it, our formula in success is pretty much people, process, and technology. People, because we have the skills, we have the mindsets. We're very technical, we're very knowledgeable in explaining what we need to do. Then of course, our process, our methodology, and our skill sets, and what the use cases we apply from our people makes us more competent in making things work, right? So this is how we can build technology as a future for generations, and this is how we do digital transformation.
Okay. Oh, Z?
I just don't think the supply is the challenge, right? I think it is emerging markets definitely need a lot more adoption of technologies. There are clearer challenges that we have to solve, and we cannot wait. I mean, not to mention like traffic. Traffic is, of course, on top of the mind. I think the challenge would be the business models that have to be adopted, the new business models, as I said as well in the presentation, around urban service providers that are now emerging. Once we find the right way of adopting these business models, I think there won't be, the supply is there. We are all here, right? So that's what I wanted to add, yeah.
Okay. We're doing one question from the audience. How do we strike a balance between cybersecurity and innovation, sharing, and use of data versus data privacy? I think that question is directed to our expert from IBM.
All right. Now, that was a good question, actually. So to answer that, I'll probably put it into consideration things I've discussed with NPC about data privacy. So basically, to address all of those concerns, we need to have proper process or benchmarking. So we start off with maybe doing a process guidelines or like ISMS. So this will give us a proper structure and understanding our data controls and policies. Then of course we try to do proper monitoring of our assets, especially if we're trying to do shared services. So basically we are in control in what we see and what comes in and what comes out, right? Then of course after that, when we do the proper monitoring, we're able to respond properly. Then of course we use applied analytics and logics to actually make smooth the transformation. So we can see the data, where it's coming in, coming out, and balancing it will be a balancing act as long as we have the proper, like I said, our people are skilled enough to understand the new risk involved, because the risk 20 years ago does not apply today. Then of course, once you have the proper process and guidelines, it's going to be a streamline. So everybody understands their chain of command, when they need to come in, when you need to hand off, and technology is just pretty much tweaking what is needs to be tweaked.
Okay, more questions on cybersecurity? Every company is aware of cybersecurity risks. In your experience, what are the key and practical considerations for Philippines companies today? You can, and then you can share the
So I've been doing incident response for the past few years. So one key thing that I've seen in the local market is that we need to have proper visibility of our assets. Because one thing's for sure, a lot of people is monitoring these assets, but they don't have proper visibility, meaning they don't know where their network servers are, their network hosts, their segments, their jump hosts. Then after, if they know it, they were able to enumerate. The challenge that I have next is they don't have the proper monitoring or logging on this particular assets. So it becomes like, this becomes a jump host, this becomes a compromise. Nobody knows where data is going to be exfiltrated. There's no proper process in between. So it's the same thing. We need to have people, process, and technology aligned to address all this information or risk.
I think on the cybersecurity innovation question, you know, and data privacy, we shouldn't use them as an excuse to stand away from the innovations that we want to do. And we shouldn't be afraid of going into new areas and doing new innovations because of the cybersecurity concerns or because of data privacy concerns. We just need to be able to be aware of the risks and manage them. I mean, it's that simple. So with the data privacy, there are many provisions in it that allow us to do many things. As long as you are able to understand exactly what you're trying to do, what the benefits that you're trying to deliver, and that you can work within the guidelines, then it shouldn't cap those innovation activities that you're doing. So it's almost a semi-convenient excuse to say, oh, I can't do it because cybersecurity might get concerned over it. I won't be able to do that because data privacy. Look, there are ways that those risks can be mitigated and managed.
Yeah, I mean, so we've looked in, when we look at the smart city framework that I showed, we actually have a framework for the technology security components to be deployed, to be avoiding hacking and to support the cybersecurity on each level, on the device level, on the transport level, on the platform level. However, it comes down to people. A couple of examples that are funny, but not really that funny, is you have this access to that platform that I showed, which means I can control the entire infrastructure of the city from that platform, right? It's scary. However, the challenges we've seen do not come from any hacking. They come from people simply sharing their password. And I have been actually responsible for one hack case in our company because I was in another event here in the Philippines, and I demonstrated the platform live, which was from another city. And I wanted to make my point, so I switched off one of the lights. I had the password. I just requested the password for that, which obviously goes out of protocol. So, and this is streamed live, so I probably should not say that. But anyway, it was escalated within the city, and they were wondering why the light went off. So, with a funny way, trying to make the point that it comes down to a lot of to people as well. And the second point I wanted to make is we had a lot of government hacks that have been famous on the news the last year, and some of them just simply came to not update the software because people trying to save money of not updating the software at the time they have to.
Well, Just to complement what Gavin mentioned a while ago about data privacy, I think cybersecurity is the risk and data privacy is the assets we're trying to control. So they actually work hand in hand, if you ask me, because for one, we need to be more proactive in handling this risk, right? That's the reason why we have, like I said, compliance, ISO 2700, etc., because we need to have proper controls to understand them, where your data assets are. Now the government is just trying to be more proactive, so they're scaring us that we're going to penalize if you're not doing anything. So we just need to be more proactive because the checklist has always been there. We just haven't been doing our part, or maybe, like I said, we're not doing our proper checking of assets, our visibility to the network, etc. So data privacy now is a risk that we need to be more concerned about, so we just need to be more proactive.
Okay, thank you. One more question from the audience. How would artificial intelligence impact the human workforce? Do you see a resurgence in the return of IT development teams as organic employees of the company?
Yeah. Many misinterpretation of what is AI. There are a lot of arguments. For example, 2 months ago, I have a panel discussion with Michio Kaku, a famous physicist at the US. Actually, I and he agreed that in this century, we will not see something like replacing total human. Technology will not allow us. Very far from present state. And of course, AI has a very tremendous impact on the productivity. I think it can make many 50 times productivity enhancement by using this kind of technology. But something replacing total human task, what human does, is very, very far from reality, from a technology point of view. So, of course, even without any AI, our labor and work is driven by the demand or problem of the society. We solve problems of the society by working. And the problem we solve is always changing because of time changes. That's why our work needs to be changed. For example, 60 years ago in Japan, half of the population was in agriculture. Just 15 years after that, agriculture population decreased maybe 1 order of magnitude. Not by the computer, not by the machine, because the time changes. And so, of course, there are a lot of, technology is one aspect of changing, environment, but there's more to it. And we need to solve social problems.
I agree. And as I said in my presentation, I think artificial intelligence, if it goes the way which we think it may go, could really dramatically change us as a human race in terms of our efficiency, our productivity, and what we can do. And it will elevate us to a new level of intelligence that we have never experienced before, and a new level of efficiency and productivity. And there's the potential there to create a massive number of jobs and a massive amount of wealth and a massive amount of progress. However, the job situation and the skills will change, and that's why I think for the Philippines particularly, the Philippines should be very aware that a large proportion of the dependency of the country is dependent on call center workers, BPO workers. They are the first candidates to be moved over to AI. So we have to really start acting now to skill these people into new areas, because no longer will you need somebody to answer a telephone and tell you how much your bill is. No longer will you need somebody to call you, answer a call and fill out a form for an insurance product or whatever. Those things can be done very, very easily even today. So it really is time that we start looking at this industry and working out how these people can be skilled in more value-added work. Otherwise, you know, AI will have a huge impact to the economy of the country.
Okay, so I don't have any more questions. Do we have any follow-ups? Okay, with that, I would like to thank the panelists for being here today. Can I call on Joey and the team to come up for the tokens?
We would also like to invite Sir Ernie G. Imperial and Mr. Ramon B. Segismundo for the photo op. Thank you, panel members, for your knowledge and insightful responses. We would also like to thank everyone for sending your questions and taking advantage of this opportunity to learn from our experts. We really value the information that everyone has shared this afternoon. Thank you. Thank you. We would like to thank our speakers for attending and sharing their presentations this afternoon. Our journey to tomorrow is not complete without integration of everything that's transpired in MTECH 2017. With that said, we present to you the best person to take us through it. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Meralco's Head of Corporate Information and Technology, Mr. Ernie G. Imperial!
Louder. Or it's been a fun-filled day. So I'm the only guy, aside from Mr. Sigismundo, keeping you from Friday evening. So I'll try to keep this as short as possible. So my job is really to synthesize what happened all throughout the day. So is everybody okay? I sort of can't see, but I hope you had a good day. We'll be wrapping up soon. And as a bit of a recap, we started off today with Tony Valdez, right? Is Tony here? No? So it was great to see Tony on the stage together with Now. It was very, what's a good word? Equalizing. So Tony's natural intelligence versus Now's artificial intelligence was very interesting and entertaining. And as you can see, Tony was probably the inspiration for Now's excellent design. Okay? Wait, in a good way. So then OSR gave a recap of the last few days. We had a very filled up last few days. And a big thank you to all our partners, everybody who made this happen, our visitors, our sponsors, and the MTECH team. He also mentioned what we did for cybersecurity with Forge, a very interesting contest in terms of trying to hack each other. We had hundreds of students coming over, so it's not just for professionals, it's also for students. And the punchline of Boss OSR was basically the customers are the reason for our being, so let's not forget that. And then Perry from Capgemini gave very interesting trends about the industry. He talked about the Newtonian shift, a coalition of game changers. He also mentioned a lot of things around the impact of renewable technology and the emphasis of a digital relationship between machines, people, entities, other people, let's see, and other IoT elements or components. He also described the drivers of the change, the shift, corporations, builders, communities, which reminds me, are you guys on Facebook? Yes? Are you guys members of the Titos and Titas of Manila? Okay, good. So that's a particularly, sorry, if you're not members yet, please join. It's very entertaining. The key message is you cannot stop these drivers. So, for example, that particular Facebook group is now almost 1 million people, would you believe, in the past few months. No? It's amazing. He also mentioned that utilities should be going to energy services. So that's something we have to think about. How do we evolve? And his ending statement, let's make Meralco the next big story. Okay, so working together, I think we can do that. Then Paul Martin from Gartner gave his piece about creating digital value at scale. So aside from the things we do, we have to think in terms of YMCA, right? He mentioned scaling up, scaling across, scaling all over the place. Okay, so he also mentioned the maturity level of where companies should be in the digital transformation journey. Like there are companies where the worst is over, there are companies where they're in the danger zone, and then there are companies where transformation can be 2 to 3 years away. So it gives us a bit of thinking time where we actually are or where we want to be. He also mentioned the roles in terms of transformation, the IT partner, the digital builder, and the digital pioneer, and the accelerators as well, such as digital dexterity, network effect technologies, and the industrialized digital platforms. When you mention accelerators, I sort of think of YouTube. So when you watch YouTube, like as an example, you want to bake a cake, you watch YouTube, how do you bake a cake, then you try to do it, then you see it works, you start sharing the video, right? So it's a similar model. So how do you scale using that model? And of course, the best part of the day, Gavin's keynote. By the way, Gavin is my boss. So he gave a recap of 2015 MTECH, which was focused on visioneering, what we wanted to happen. The 2016, moving forward, never stop. So it's the actual execution. And then 2017, the journey to tomorrow. We've done a lot of stuff, but we need to do a lot more. Okay. He talked about the new technologies, robotics, IoT, edge computing, blockchain, augmented reality, and AI. And I've been hearing a lot of feedback. Excellent show. So it's the greatest showman on earth. Gavin, again, please. More for my ratings, actually. So and then we had a panel moderated by Ralph, okay, together with Gabby, Perry, and Paul. And there was a lot of interesting reactions and thoughts about the keynote itself. And what struck me was the conversation really focused on one thing, that Meralco is on the right track. Okay, so we know what we're doing, we know how to get there, so let's just get on with it. Gabby from IBM started talking about IoT, and he showed the major areas where AI, Watson, is used. So he showcased employee safety. What was very interesting for me was the heat stress sensor. Did you see that? Remember that? So the person with a heat stress sensor, then you'll know the safety of the person. So I was actually thinking if I can have my stress mostly comes from my boss. So if I have a boss stress sensor, then that would be, really good use case for IoT. And I stress my people out. So. And then he talked about the digital twin. So again, it reminded me about now. And then we talked about cognitive operations guidance, and people-centric conversational application where you have the driverless car called Oli, which is very interesting. And then the challenges of the IoT platforms, such as cost, bandwidth, regulations, and privacy. Then we had Z, the beautiful Z. Applause, thank you. Thank you. And she talked about smart cities. Again, amazing because it struck close to home, especially traffic, right? She mentioned that the rapid urbanization, what is it? A new London coming in every hour, 10,000 people. It was so inspiring because in Manila, it's like the UN coming in, not just London. And then, of course, the sustainability of smart cities is really the intersection of social, economic, and environmental factors. So, again, what struck me was the new industry that was emerging, that she predicted to be emerging. The global urban services industry, that's amazing. So that's basically an ecosystem from the transport, utilities, health, safety, security. So you're creating a massive, mega ecosystem of things that create the smart cities. And I think that's very interesting to see. No? I think we will be a major player in that space. And again, it's a journey, not a destination. So getting to a smart city, again, is something we need to do all the time. And Dr. Kazuo gave some insights on how AI will change society. So it's very interesting that swinging thing. So basically, in 5 minutes, a robot learned how to swing. So not the dance, the swing. And I was thinking about applications like Zumba, aerobics. But I think what we want to do is really look at the business applications of AI. You mentioned credit scoring, fraud detection, package delivery, marketing, stock lending. And it opened my eyes regarding special purpose AI versus multi-purpose AI. So you can actually create AI components that can be applied across several use cases. Then you also mentioned about the conditions for AI, which the problem should be complex, the heuristic should be there, types of data should be present, and that's, again, quite interesting for somebody like me. Key message, rules-based is the norm, but we're now looking at outcome-based solutions to problems. And that's very interesting because you have to start from the outcome, then work backwards, versus looking at the rules, then working forwards, which really doesn't get you anywhere. So that's a key insight for me. And then the last bit was the life tapestry. So I could see your whole life. How many years, sir? 10 years? Did you remove it during times of intimacy? No, so I have no other words, but I can imagine the use cases, and I'd like to see that across the whole company and have a happiness dashboard. So imagine the use case. You have a chief happiness officer, and then say, okay, this guy is not happy, call him in. And then let's see how we can make him happy. And then we had that final panel with Patty there. Again, Patty is the shortest person in our team. And from what I gleaned from the conversation, technology isn't a magic bullet. There's always the people component. There are challenges. There's cybersecurity challenges as well. And different areas have different challenges. We may seem to think that in terms of developing countries and so on and so forth, but ultimately it's just a question of when. I think it's more of a spectrum versus differences. So that's something we should be thinking about, that yeah, it's really just a question of where we are at this point, but I think we will be encountering the same challenges. And the demand-supply issue is really more around probably the awareness of the demand, because the supply is always there, as mentioned by Z. Okay, so I think that's about it. And then the last question was really how would AI impact the workforce in general? And Gavin and everybody else in the panel gave good inputs and insights. And I don't think we should be scared of AI. Okay? I think we should embrace it and then upskill ourselves to really see where we can go with AI. So that's about it. I might have missed a lot of things. The materials will be provided by the team on the website or on the portal or on Facebook Live. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie, for that big picture application and comprehensive synthesis of MTECH 2017. And now, to end MTECH 2017 with a bang, we invite to the stage for the closing remarks our Head of Human Resources and Corporate Services, Mr. Ramon B. Sagismundo.
Good afternoon, everyone. First observation. Ernie's opening applause was louder than mine. Thank you, thank you. When I started having gray hairs, I've noticed that the only assignments that I get in summits like this are either the opening remarks or the closing remarks. So Gavin, maybe next time provide me with a session where I would provide content, okay? But in this opening and closing remarks, I have touched the entire spectrum of generations. So I would like to start my closing session, my closing remarks, with having a generation check. So those that were born between 1980 and 2000, and these are the millennials, please stand up. Please stand up. 1980 to 2000. Please stand up. Millennials, 1980 to 2000. We have a committee validating whether indeed you are millennials. Thank you. Those that were born between 1960 and 1980, those that were born between 1960 to 1980, these are the Gen Xers, please stand up. Okay, it seems like you're a big number. Okay. Now, those that were born before 1960, I'm not part of the game, ding. You are. So the future is about the millennials, right? And more importantly, the Gen Zers. The Gen Zers, those that were born after 2000. Anyone who was born after 2000 here? Ian, you were born after 2000, right? Yeah. Ersil? I'm talking about chronological age, not appearance. Okay, so hence we have to prepare for that time when the Gen Zers and the millennials would comprise the majority. And that's really one of my messages this afternoon. According to the World Economic Forum, this is the group that organizes the annual conferences in Davos attended by CEOs. According to WEF, 65% of the jobs that Gen Zers will perform do not even exist. We don't know what they would be, these jobs. And 35% of the jobs are automated. Quite an interesting finding, right? And they also said that by 2020, globally, 5 million jobs would be lost. But there will be 2.1 million new jobs that are not defined yet. So isn't this scary? And this is something personal, no? to each of us, to every MTECH participant today. Thank God I'm going to offer an advice so that it doesn't become scary. Not bonus. Sa December pa yon. So as I've said, the key is to future-proof ourselves. The question is, how? How do we future-proof ourselves? Number one is to be employable, not necessarily employed. So we've got to be in a position where customers, companies, clients would seek out our skills. And the key is learnability. Because of the rapidly changing environment, we've got to learn, relearn, and unlearn constantly on a real-time basis. And by being learnable, we become employable. Second, we have to embrace digital, as we have done today. Let's embrace technology. Let's embrace new initiatives, new thinking, new mindsets. We've got enough of the traditional, conservative mindsets and approaches. Don't you agree? Teka, bakit sitat lang sumasagot? Ha? Bakit sitat lang? Kayo ata ang nipakulo nito no? Thirdly, third advice, we need soft skills like empathy, compassion. Let's not forget that, right? Because with high tech comes human touch. Humility, LQ. What does LQ stand for? Lovers quarrel? No. Jack Ma was here a couple of weeks ago, and he said that if there's one thing that's important in the high-tech world, in the digital world, it's the love quotient. Love quotient. So, I'd like to request each of you to please stand up. Please stand up. And you have persons to your right. Demonstrate your love quotient to that person, to the person on your right. Whichever way you do it, please, let's do it now. Let's do it. Okay. Thank you, thank you. By the way, there are closed-circuit TV cameras, and it has, it's going to detect cases of sexual harassment that has happened in the past few seconds. Fourth piece of advice, we've got to be hungry. And not hungry for dinner, or not hungry physically for merienda or anything like that. Being hungry means TGIM, which is, thank God it's Monday. How many of you are looking forward to working in Meralco on Monday? It used to be TGIF, right? But we're throwing that out of the window. It's now TGIM. Approach your work with passion. And second, are you ready to die for a cause? Yes, no, maybe. Are you ready to die for Meralco? Are you ready to die for Meralco? Can you, the HR team, could you please take note? But that's what being hungry is all about. You know, the passion, the determination to get things done, right? So let me end by saying, number one, ignore digital at your own peril. With high tech comes high touch, and keep on embracing disruption. And again, just to summarize, no? Be hungry, you need soft skills, embrace digital, right? And the first one is employability, be employable. And on that note, congratulations to each and every one of you for being part of MTECH 2017. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you, everyone. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Sir Ramon B. Segismundo, for that cool closing remarks. That concludes our third Meralco Technology and Innovation Summit, MTECH 2017 Journey to Tomorrow. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed the exhibits and learned a lot from our packet sessions and MTECH Forum. We would also like to congratulate the team that made all of this happen. Thank you and congratulations. Happy weekend.
this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric, baby, when I turn it on. All through through my city, all through my home. We're flying up no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off.